Did you miss your financial targets for 2025? Here's what you need to know for 2026. Event season is underway. Good MSPs choose this to match what they need to do over the year. It's not just a social event. Think about your planning for the year. Where are your major pains that you're going to think you're going to hit over 2026? These are the things that you want the community, the vendors, the software, the systems to lean into. Then go after that strategically when you go to events. When we're thinking about events, there's a couple in March that I want to highlight to you. March 4th and 6th is Threat Locker. This is going to be great for your senior technical people, especially security slanted. They're going to do live ethical hacking and really dig into the security and the footprint of what they see coming in 2026. The next one is March 9th and 11th, ConnectWise IT Nation Europe. They're going to bring over from the US into Europe, delivering in London. A lot of really good speakers coming across from the US and also from EMEA. We're going to really dive into what does maturity look like and what does 2026 look like when you're running the ConnectWise ecosystem. 13th of April, a little bit further on, but we want to be planning for this. We want to make sure our flights, etc. are booked in. This is the Enable Empower event. Really good event. There's going to be over 1,000 MSPs delivering into this event. Really good speakers. They also run a peer group at the same time. Really excited to see what they do compared to last year's event that was a really smashing event. Ensuring your attendance at the right locations and the right MSPs is critical to success. Be strategic and be intentional with where you're going to spend your time over 2026 when you're traveling and delivering back to your MSP, because it's all about what actually do you learn at these events? Does you make a difference inside your MSP? Many MSPs roll into the new financial year on the 1st of April. March is your last chance to get everybody aligned on that plan and execution and accountability of what's going to happen in 2026. This is a great time to step back with your team, understand what happened last year, what were the turning points, what was good, what was bad, and how's that going to roll into next year. Get everyone's commitment against that plan and those numbers to drive into it and execute. Too many MSPs we see failing on this task. They don't go into the 1st of April with this as a clear picture and definition of what good looks like. They play with it, they structure it a bit differently, and before you know it, it's June, and you've just created a higher target for everybody to achieve over the next 9 months. Quarterly strategic plans also come into this, so we need to make sure that we're then checking this on a quarterly event cycle. We talk about quarterly strategic meetings. This plan is not something we just put together once a year, put it in the drawer and let some dust come on top of it, and then we bring it back out the next year and think, why did we miss it? Quarterly strategic meetings with your team off-site, reviewing that plan, constant adaptation and changing it for the right reasons so we can all celebrate the win at the end of the year. If this all resonates with you, but you've got a problem with it and you're wondering how you're going to structure it, you've got a book called The Valuation Playbook that goes into this in great depth that's really going to help you to solidify this and communicate this to your leadership team. When we're thinking about planning, I believe community is no longer optional, and community time needs to be built into your planning time and where you're actually going to go to events. Last month, visited the MSP Growth Hub for the first time. It really stood out for me. They had 65 attendees with only 3 no-shows. Great commitment to the fact that everybody wants to build MSPs and share and add value into the room. What really stood out to me was the energy and openness and trust in the room when you had over 60 people in that room. It was great to see Ian and Stuart come to life on stage, delivering high value assets back into that community and getting some really good questions back from that. When I think about spending time and planning within your business, I think there's another great asset here that's just been launched. Jonathan Edward, Bearded 365, has just launched a great training platform for all your techs. Not based on courses and just passing a qualification, but actually the real life, what are you going to see coming through your service desk or your professional services attached and delivered by Microsoft 365. He's had over 120 MSPs pre-subscribe to a course that's not even launched yet. I think you need to really look at that and see, does that fit into your plans? Not just a shiny toy, but is it in your plans? Is it going to make a difference to your delivery and your customer journey today? I also mentioned Jonathan as a place to look about video content. I really believe 2026 and beyond is all going to be about video. All the platforms and social media platforms are all really taking advantage of video and prioritizing that over anything else. I think Jonathan's a great example of an MSP owner that's really dug into that video angle and driven that all the way down. If that makes any sense to you or you're really interested in it, we've got a great video with myself and Jonathan talking all about video and how he thinks that should be used in the MSP to differentiate yourselves in 2026. I don't know about you, but I'm sick to death of hearing about AI and actually people just masking it in marketing, and it's just another workflow within a tool that's been around for 2 years. What I'm seeing in my business though is actually people are moving away from some common LLM models like ChatGPT. So we're seeing the technical and operation team using Claude. Reason for that is it seems to be more developed around SQL, performance, support type questions to deliver a really 360 output to you, where ChatGPT just seems to want to please you all the time. So it comes back with some pleasing messages that doesn't really add value to the thing that you asked it in the first place. I'm also seeing this in the marketing team. So the marketing team have moved away from ChatGPT because it's using too much of common language models that we wouldn't say in our marketing. And it's not really listening to the fact that you want it to stop using that. So we've actually really leaned into Acquisition AI, which is Alex Hormoz's AI front-ended system that looks at all of his framework and his books. And the real big thing that I like about it is we've said as a business that we want to really nail down to that framework, and the AI drags you back to that framework. So when you try to do something differently because of your opinion or your experience, it brings you back to the fact that that doesn't marry with that framework, and the framework is there to deliver these outcomes and gives you a reasoning for it that you just can't argue. So now it means that we've got multiple people on the marketing team that aren't just opinionated that are winning, but actually we're delivering it through executed differences to the business. That's now really making a difference to our ROI. We really deliver inside our marketing team the ROI and not just images and blogs. We want to make sure we're making a difference to the overall business. I saw this reported in the Register last week, where they talked about real up-and-coming and large CEOs pushing down to the rest of their teams that there must be ROI in AI, otherwise that financial budget will be stripped out. This is where MSPs need to take that lead and actually look at, what is this delivering inside my business? Are we spending time and money on deliverables or just a new toy that we're actually just wasting our time on? We're seeing some of our business consulting MSPs really deliver AI inside their business, but it's all about empowering those teams to do it better, faster, and quicker with confidence to their customers. It's not frontline AI. We're seeing some real pivots away from any sort of triaging AI or ChatGPT type messages on their websites, because it's really turning people off and killing that customer journey, which is in turn killing that sales lead. I saw a real reference to this in Diary of the CEO, where he talked about how he is actually looking and scanning emails to see, is that tone and language and words used something that you would have used in the past? If he's known you for some time and you write an email that is very fluffy with long words, etc., that you wouldn't expect from a Wigginy gentleman like myself, he would just delete the email. Is that going to cause you a problem when you've got a prospecting journey and it doesn't come across ethical and looking like you, and they're just going to delete it? So on a side note, Elon Musk. Bet you never thought I'd bring him up in this post, would you? But I want to really dive into him because there's been a report that he's actually merging 3 of his businesses together. So his SpaceX with the space shuttles, his Starlink enterprise, and also his AI business. He's merging all 3 together, and all the people are reporting that he's going to really deliver a big outcome. And one of those big outcomes could be that he's going to launch data centers in space. That's going to really reduce all of the footprint and all the costs of delivering a data center and take him to the next level. But actually, Elon Musk, what I wanted to talk about was Starlink. We're seeing this take great expansion into the MSP world. Have you looked at it at all? We're actually seeing it where people can't get good bandwidth, or even more so on backup links. So rather than taking a backup link that's probably 5% of your performance of your main link, we're actually seeing our MSP customers deliver it as a backup link that is actually the same speed as their primary link, but it goes into standby mode. Roughly £4 a month in standby mode, and then you can actually burst that at the point you need it as a backup line to the same speed as your first primary internet. This is a real good continuity plan when you're thinking about most of your clients are 90 to 100% in the cloud today. How are you going to keep their offices online, and how are you going to stand out from a crowd when you're prospecting maybe to a customer that does have that big pain of performance on the internet? I talked about Microsoft 365 and Jonathan's learning platform. What we're actually seeing is a big trend with Microsoft now, really pushing Copilot down into all their UIs. They've just recently released a load of updates that are bringing Copilot across all their platform and all the UIs, making it very obvious for your end users. If you're not ahead on Copilot and where that can make a difference and how to secure it, what licensing models are going to include that, this is going to really hurt you in 2026. They've actually forecasted in June this year, they're changing all the licensing model. They're going to really up the ante, delivering some of the Copilot licensing, security, and endpoint management into all of the common licensing models, and they're going to increase the price because of it. But they're going to force that down onto your customer base, and any mature customer is going to look at that and say, well, for that cost, what am I getting for it? And they're going to look straight at you for the delivery of that. And if you can't deliver that, one of your prospects will. When we're thinking about planning in 2026 and beyond, we need to also be thinking about where is this journey going to end? Maybe you're going to sell this asset. What we're actually seeing really strong is private equity becoming a real player in this world. And so you've got to tailor your outcome into being possibly one of that. When we're thinking about this, we need to be looking at our financials and our planning and thinking about what do they need for success. Some key items to think about is 75% of your revenue needs to be service revenue. That isn't reselling licenses like Microsoft 365. They will actually strip that out of your service revenue. So having your PSA, your agreements and products and service catalog really well structured so you actually know these numbers before you go into a discussion and due diligence is really going to help you to set this business apart, but also not become emotionally attached to the sale before it's even happened. Make sure you're setting up the business for due diligence from multiple angles. Often we're not ready for selling, it's just the opportunity comes our way. And you want the business and the data, especially your legacy data, to back up the fact that this is a strong business to get the right multiples that you deserve. If you're an MSP watching this roundup, I'd really recommend you watch one of our Scale Up episodes where I talked to Chris Cook. He really goes into people and structure, but the real big insight was about meetings. What these meetings do, what they deliver inside your business, what the rhythms are, and what frameworks you should deliver inside those meetings. I've never met someone that could actually reference back every single thing that he said back to a framework better than I do. There's some real value in there. If you've not got all the time to watch the whole episode, if you skip through to minute 31, he talks about burnout, and that really stood out for me.
We can have the right people, but yes, they can often be in the wrong seat. And then I believe this is where burnout comes from. So burnout is not being in the right seat doing the work that you love doing and just doing too much of it. That's just tiredness.
Inside an MSP world, there is a lot of burnout of your staff. People don't have the time in an MSP, and that creates burnout all the time. So he really referenced that and really put a framework behind it about if people aren't in the world that they enjoy to match their personas and what they want out of this world, then actually they actually give a lot of energy off, which creates the burnout on the opposite side. And I've recently read a lot of information around sleep as well. Depriving sleep actually impacts this as well. So burnout should be a key focus for you in 2026 and thinking about how do I get the people into the right seats, in the right place, on the right buzz to equal success. If you've enjoyed this video about getting ready for March, we've created a whole new asset. This is called the Action Hub. This lists out the steps you need to take in March to set up your MSP for the new financial year to success. It's going to walk you through every step, bring all the assets and collateral and video that we've delivered for setting up your business in March to you, making it easy for you to follow.